Welcome to CSE Guru. In this session, we will discuss about FCFS scheduling algorithm, that is first come first served scheduling algorithm. FCFS is the simplest scheduling algorithm. So in this scheduling algorithm, the process which requests the CPU first, that will get allocated the CPU first. That is, initially the jobs will be waiting in the job queue to get executed with the CPU. So whenever the CPU is free, one of the job will be picked from the job pool and assigned to the CPU for execution. So in this FCFS algorithm, the first job entered into the job queue that will be picked to execute with the CPU first. The FCFS implementation is managed by a FIFO queue, that is first in first out queue. The process which entered the queue first, that will be assigned to the CPU first. And this FCFS is a non-preemptive scheduling algorithm. That is, once the process is assigned to the CPU for execution, till its completion, that particular job only will execute with the CPU. No other jobs will be assigned. At any point of time during execution, the ongoing job will not be suspended for any other reason. And the main disadvantage of FCFS algorithm is average waiting time is too long, because if you are considering the job queue, there will be a mix of shortest burst time as well as the longest burst time jobs. If a long burst time job is assigned to the CPU for execution, the shortest burst time jobs has to wait for a long time. So if you are considering the average waiting time is too long. So this is the main disadvantage of FCFS scheduling algorithm. We will solve one problem based on FCFS scheduling. The problem is, consider the following set of processes that arrive at time 0 with the length of the CPU burst given in milliseconds. There are three processes, process P1, P2 and P3, and the burst time are 24, 3 and 3 respectively. The process arrived in the order P1, P2, P3 and served as a FIFO order. So here if you are considering the process P1, P2, P3 with the burst time 24, 3 and 3. To solve the scheduling algorithms, first we have to construct a Gantt chart. The Gantt chart is nothing but it is a bar chart that shows the starting time and finishing time of each process. So with the help of the Gantt chart, we are going to find out the waiting time for each process and also the average waiting time. If you are considering this process order, the process P1 enters into the job queue first. So the process P1 will be assigned to the CPU first for execution and its burst time is nothing but 24. So here the starting time is 0 and the process P1 is the first process entered into the job queue and that will be assigned to the CPU for execution, and the process P1 will take 24 milliseconds to complete its execution. Once the process P1 completes its execution, P2 is the next job enters into the job queue. So now the P2 will be assigned to the CPU for execution and the process P2 will take 3 milliseconds to complete its execution. So already totally 24 milliseconds is over. So plus process P2 will take 3 milliseconds. So now it is 27. Next process in the job queue is P3 and process P3 will be assigned to the CPU for execution after process P2 completes. So P3 will execute for another 3 milliseconds. So totally 30 milliseconds. Next, we need to calculate the waiting time for each process. So if you are considering the process P1, what is the waiting time for process P1? The waiting time is 0. That is, process P1 is the first job enters into the job queue and immediately it is assigned to the CPU for execution. So the waiting time for process P1 is 0 milliseconds. If you are considering the process P2, the waiting time is nothing but till the time process P1 takes to complete its execution with the CPU. That is nothing but the 24 milliseconds. So once the process P2 arrived into the job queue, it has to wait till the process P1 completes its execution, whatever may be the burst time of P1. So the waiting time of process P2 is nothing but 24 milliseconds, and the process P3 is nothing but the time taken by the process P1 as well as P2 to complete its execution. That is nothing but the 27 milliseconds. So the waiting time of process P1 is 0 milliseconds and process P2 is 24 and process P3 is 27 milliseconds. So if you are considering in this Gantt chart, easily we can able to identify the waiting time. So when the process P2 is assigned, you have to consider the process P1 execution time. That is nothing but the waiting time of process P2. And if you are considering the process P3, it has to consider the previous process completion time. That is nothing but the 27 milliseconds. All three processes arrived at the time 0 milliseconds. Completion is nothing but the burst time of previous processes. The average waiting time is nothing but the waiting time of process P1, P2 and P3 divided by 3. So the waiting time of process P1 is 0 and P2 is 24 and P3 is 27 divided by 3. There are three processes here, so divided by 3. So the answer is 17 milliseconds. And here if you are considering the process P1 is having the longest burst time, that is 24 milliseconds, compared to the process P2 and P3 each having only 3 milliseconds. So the process P2 and P3 to execute only 3 milliseconds with the CPU, it has to wait for long time. This is the main drawback of the FCFS scheduling algorithm. If you are changing the process arrival order as P2, P3 and P1. Now we will check what is the waiting time and average waiting time of each process. Now the process arriving order to the job queue is P2 entered into the job queue first, P3 next and then P1. So if you are considering P2 and P3 having a shorter burst time, that is 3 milliseconds, and P1 is having a longer burst time, that is 24 milliseconds. So first we will construct the Gantt chart. Now the process P2 is the first job in the job queue. So process P2 will be assigned to the CPU first. So P2 execute with the CPU only for 3 milliseconds. Next job in the job queue is P3. So P3 enters into the job queue next. So P3 is assigned to the CPU next. P3 will take 3 milliseconds to execute with the CPU. So if you are considering totally, it is 6 milliseconds. Now only one process available in the job queue, that is P1, and now P1 is assigned to the CPU for execution. And it will take totally 24 milliseconds to execute with the CPU. Already 6 milliseconds process P2 and P3 has taken to execute with the CPU plus 24. That is totally 30 milliseconds taken by all the three processes to execute with the CPU. Now we will find the waiting time for each process. So waiting time for process P2 is once it arrived into the job queue, immediately it is assigned to the CPU for execution. So waiting time for process P2 is 0 milliseconds. Next, waiting time for process P3 is the time taken by the process P2 to complete its execution with the CPU. That is nothing but the 3 milliseconds. So process P3 waiting time is 3 milliseconds. Next, process P1 waiting time is nothing but the time taken by the process P2 as well as P3 to complete its execution with the CPU. That is nothing but the 6 milliseconds. So P1, if you are considering, it has to wait only for 6 milliseconds. So the waiting time of process P2 is 0, P3 is 3 milliseconds and P1 is 6 milliseconds. Next we will find out the average waiting time. So the average waiting time is nothing but the waiting time of process P2, P3 and P1 divided by 3. There are three processes here, so divided by 3. 0 plus 3 plus 6 divided by 3. So now the average waiting time is nothing but only 3 milliseconds. So if you are considering, in the previous example we have considered the process P1 arrived first, but it is having the longest burst time, and the process P2 arrived next, it is having a shorter burst time, and P3 also shorter burst time. So if you are allowing the process P1 to execute with the CPU first, the average waiting time will increase. For all the three processes, the average waiting time will increase. But if you are allowing the shorter job to execute with the CPU first and longer job at last, the average waiting time is very less. If a long process is assigned to the CPU for execution, the short process in the job queue has to wait for a long time. So this is the main drawback of FCFS scheduling algorithm. This drawback is overcome by the next algorithm, that is the shortest job first algorithm. So in that shortest job first algorithm, the job with the smallest burst time is assigned to the CPU first for execution. That we will discuss in next session. Thank you for watching this video.